am honored to bring on Wendell Quan. And Wendell is the executive director of Congress Heights Main Street Program, the city market at the barn at St. Elizabeth's. Wendell, Quan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And I wanted to say we really appreciate the work that you're doing in the Washington Informer on how you've been doing community service for over 50 years. So we really appreciate you and the program that you have today.
Thanks, Wendell. I'm sorry, I keep calling you keep saying Wendell, but I know Quan is the preferred reference. But when Alexa said you've been around for many, I'm like, okay, you can stop now with the many. But anyhow, it's a blessing. It's all a blessing. So, Quan, tell me, when people ask you about, Congress Heights Main Streets, first, what do you tell them? And I mean, how do you describe who you all are and what you do?
Yeah, the Main Street movement is a national movement, which DC joined about 20 years ago. And Congress Heights Main Street was started in 2016. There are 26 main streets across the District of Columbia, only one in Ward 8. There should be 3. We're in Congress Heights. There should be 1 in Bellevue and Anacostia. And the purpose of the Main Street is to improve the commercial corridor. And so we focus on Congress Heights, and the approach is kind of a volunteer community approach with a paid executive director who works with committees, and we focus on economic vitality, design, which is improving the storefronts and helping the businesses do that, and then promotions by doing events to attract people to the corridor. Our signature promotions event is Art All Night, the Soul of the City edition, which we attract about 12,000 people throughout the region to Congress Heights. And so that's kind of our purpose, to give support to the existing businesses. But in our community, we found that there's a lot of pent up demand for Black entrepreneurship. And so we provide opportunities for those entrepreneurs to either pop up on our corridor, and the Soul of the City Market is kind of an offshoot of that effort to increase Black entrepreneurship, at the same time providing healthy and fresh food opportunities for the community.
Can you define the area, I guess, particularly along Martin Luther King Avenue, where the Congress Heights Main Street starts?
Yeah, so it starts at, it's been just recently expanded because of the development on St. Elizabeth, but it historically starts at 4th Street and MLK and goes up to Milwaukee Place, and then goes up Alabama all the way to 13th Street, although that's considered a commercial corridor, but it's predominantly residential, with one current business on there, which is Lift's Market. But there's tremendous amount of construction going on the St. Elizabeth campus. And so it will cut through 13th Street over to the Homeland Security, the DC Homeland Security building. And so that's going to be the new geographic area. But there are 67 businesses between 4th Street on MLK up to Milwaukee. And so that's our primary focus.
As one whose business has been on this block, the 3100 block, for 42 years now, I have been able to actually observe the difference that the Main Street program has had on this strip. It's been a pleasure, to be here with you all at the helm. So I just want to personally say thank you for the work that you and your team are doing to make the block look good. We're so busy trying to do what we do inside of our businesses, that a lot of times we don't get outside to really, deal with the issues you all are dealing with. So thank you, and tell your
Yeah,
team I
yeah,
said thank you. And
yeah.
I know it's tough because, even though we have a commercial strip, it's still, it's still difficult for new businesses to come in because the opportunities are not there. The space, the rental space, or ownership space is not there. So, is there a great demand for businesses that want to come to this corridor or to this area?
Historically, there are a lot of immigrant businesses currently here. And historically, some of the black businesses that used to be here, family members haven't wanted to take over, and there's not a lot of lease space
Right.
available for people to come in. But we've been over the last 3 years working with a number of entrepreneurs to get them ready to take over spaces. And the mayor just instituted a program where people could buy their space. And the city really gives them about 35% down to do that. We haven't had any deals close on this corridor, but we're working on two where the business owners were leasing and they're in the process of trying to buy their space. And so the city's been very progressive, particularly with the stimulus money that was supposed to benefit, Black communities like ours. And so that's a good initiative that's going on. And so we provide the technical assistance for people to do it, but there's not a lot of, vacant opportunities for people to bring businesses. But we've had 7 businesses open up in the last year and a half that are new to the corridor and kind of add a different mix to the business mix. So.
Yeah, well, that's really great. So tell me, how is it that I want to talk about the market and why the St. Elizabeth site was selected, and what you all have done in that area to make it sort of a welcoming place. Because the barn, everybody knew about that barn. We knew there used to be horses back there. It's a great space. But how did you all select it, and what did you do to transform it?
Yeah, well, this came about in discussions with DMPAD, who manages St. Elizabeth from a development perspective. And the community plan and development plan for St. Elizabeth included the barn, which historically at St. Elizabeth included a stable for horses at the time it was built. It was a state-of-the-art stable. And then they also had farming activity on the site while the hospital was open. And so the community plan was to preserve this space for something of a food activity. And so it has 14 stalls in it. The architectural design has been done. The money is in place for the construction of it, but it was delayed because of 2 other activities, the new hospital that's going in, and also the new men's shelter that's immediately behind it. And so what we did is created last summer a outdoor market in the courtyard of the barn while the interior will be rehab. And so we operate it year round. We put up a tent during the winter months. And so it's designed for 30 makers and farmers. And so we've been running that activity. And one of the positive things that has happened, there was another Ward 8 market. And so we've just entered a partnership with them to join us at the market. And we'll be kicking that off on June 4th for our summer market, which goes from June 4th to September 25th. And so it's very positive that we are coming together to bring more farmers and more makers to the marketplace.
No, that sounds really great. I missed a little bit of that, but in addition to the farmers and what you're selling, did we talk about the hours of operation?
Yeah, so we operate on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there, when you come, you could expect to see, 30 vendors. We have three farmers, African American group that comes from Eastern Shore, Maryland. They're DC residents, but they farm down on the historically Black Eastern Shore. We have another farmer that is joining us from Pennsylvania. And then we are working with the food bank. And so, historically, a lot of vendors and makers haven't been allowed to participate in other farmer markets across the city. And so we've been building a bench and preparing them from a business standpoint to work in other markets so they can increase their revenue. And so I'm proud that out of our makers, we have three of them that are participating in other markets because our purpose is to really build a business for them. And so one of the new initiatives that we're doing is we're creating Startup 8, which is a incubator that focuses on food and food related activities so that we can take some of our caterers who cater out of their home, cottage food businesses, and organize them in a way where they can get brick and mortar or participate in the robust farmers market because, a lot of these people, generate in revenue, on from Thursday through Sunday, anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a week. And so
Wow.
we're trying to get, some of our entrepreneurs involved in that, in addition to being a community resource where people can locally buy, fresh grown products. And we've been sensitive to making sure that the products are what we call culturally competent, because we know that we're in a community of, 93% African American. And so, there are certain things that we like to eat, but we also have demonstrations of different chefs to expose people to other products. So
You mentioned Quan, the number of African Americans, but this community has a lot of young people. So
right.
is there a way you've been able to incorporate things that would attract younger folks to come over? I mean, are they coming? What high school, under people under the age of say 21?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to start a kind of a Thursday activity for that purpose. We've done different family-oriented activities. We've had music at the market and different activities, but we haven't, as of yet, been able to attract the young people. But that's one of the things that we're working on. One of the farmers is going to hire two young people to work with them to train them. But at the same time, in terms of the outreach effort. And so we haven't been able to crack that code yet to bring them, but we're trying a variety of activities and outreach to attract them to the market. And also with the products that we sell, we have a number of notable custom clothing makers who make streetwear. So we've been trying to work with that. And we've had another activity. They're building Parcel 15, which is near the sports arena. And so there's a program that the developers at Parcel 15 is doing, which we're about to select people. It's going to be an interim retail village for 6 makers and
Nice.
3 food businesses. And so we've had some pop-up activities, to try to attract, the younger population. But one of the things that we're finding is that unless we have, products like City Beach has in terms of the latest, sneaks and gear, we can't attract them. And then, to them, some of the makers that we have, are millennials. And so to Gen Xers, they're old.
Yeah.
And so we've had youth entrepreneur pop-ups. So we're trying a variety of things to get to that population.
Yeah, we actually did a story on some students from Ballou High School who won a chef's competition, and so we know there are a lot of young over here who are interested in learning about the food business. And so, it's just a thought. It's good that you have them in mind and that you're kind of trying to create programs to attract them as well. So, so how long is the market open? I mean, not hours, but will it be open through September,
Yeah.
October?
Yeah, no, it's year round. We take a small break during the Christmas holiday through the New Year. And so we take about 3 weeks off, but it's a year-round market. And something that I learned working with it is that there are products that are grown in this region all year long. I didn't think that was the case. And so whatever is being grown, we make sure we have it there. But another component that we work with different chefs, and we kind of give them a residency for a month to let the community know what they're selling. And have them bring their A game, but not just to serve something that you can consume at the market, but something pre-prepared, that you could take home to fix. And so we're spending a lot of time mentoring and finding other mentors who have been successful in the food business. And so it's going really well.
Yeah. Well, before we close, how can people that are interested maybe in becoming a vendor, how can they do that?
They could contact us at 202 563 5200 and speak to Jasmine, who's our vendor coordinator. The other thing is we have a website, Soul of the City DC Life, which they can go to and get more information on the vendors that are there and reach out to us to vend. And so that site is both for the consumer and also for vendors.
So it's Soul of the City DC Life?
Life, yeah.
Soul of the City DC .life.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's wonderful. And is there any, lastly, is there any criteria, anything that, they need to be prepared to present if they want to become?
We on the food side, you need food handler's license, etc. But we provide the technical assistance if they don't have that. And then on the maker side, we only want people who actually make their products. And so we're not looking for resellers of other products. And so we're trying to build, maker entrepreneurs, creatives who actually make their products to offer that to the consumers.
Wonderful. Quan, thank you so very much for being with us today, sharing all this great information. Hopefully folks will come out on the days that you're open, this weekend especially. I know the holidays, we've got some Memorial Day and 4th of July and Juneteenth and some other things coming up where there, may have some special programming, but you definitely want to get that fresh produce and whatever else is being offered there. So thank you so very much for being with us today.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. Have a great one.